good, y'all? This your boy Black G92. I can say before I get started with this reaction video, I can say something else real quick that I really enjoyed my live stream that I had last night. For those that pulled up and chopped up with your boy, gave me reaction requests and all that shit, I really appreciate it, man. So I'm definitely doing another one for certain on Black Friday. Which is this coming Friday. Probably sometime later on during the day. So then, because for the most part, I'm gonna spend time with my fam and all that shit, doing FaceTimes, perhaps throughout Thanksgiving Day, getting phone calls and everything. So that's pretty much what my game plan is for Thanksgiving Day and all that. So let me know what y'all plans is for Thanksgiving Day, or just Thanksgiving break weekend, all that shit. Let me know what y'all plans is. But anyway, I'm gonna do a reaction to another Marvelous videos, which is a reaction request. Shout out to the person who gave me this video to react to, and the video's titled 21 Unthinkably Malformed Cenobites appeared in Hellraiser movies origin stories explored. So, and based on what I've seen on the length, which is like 35 minutes to 33 seconds, I'm definitely gonna split this to like maybe 2 or 3 different parts. Might do like 15 minutes today, probably another 10, well, not 10, but probably like another 15 the next day, and probably last 5 the next day. Probably sometime like this week, whatever. So let's get to it in about 3, 2, 1. See what this countdown looking like.
We have such sights to show you.
21 unthinkably malformed Cenobites that appear in Hellraiser movies explored in detail. Cenobites are nothing less than angels to some and demons to others. They could be the harbingers of pleasure and the careers of eternal pain. But the strange thing about these demons is that they cannot differentiate between pain and pleasure.
Now you must come with us, taste our pleasures.
Created by Clive Barker in his 1986 novella.
Now that's scary as fuck. For if you encounter a creature a being, creature, or person that does not understand the difference between pleasure and pain, that's the scariest motherfucker you run across. For real. For those that bother to play the puzzle box in the Hellraiser movies, I've only seen 2 of them myself, but for those that have like played the box, they must have been they should have been more careful what they wish for.
The Hellbound Heart, Cenobites are demons from a hell-like labyrinth that's ruled by a deity named Leviathan. Barker described these demons as theologians of the Order of the Gash, who worship Leviathan. Now, several groups of Cenobites pray to and serve Leviathan eternally. But the most important of them is the Order of the Gash, the leader of which is Pinhead, aka Hell Priest.
I am forever.
It wouldn't be wrong to call them surgeons or engineers from the underworld who work with human flesh to create objects of art. Cenobites can enter Earth only when there's a discontinuity in the space-time continuum. But this can be made possible only by several unearthly objects, and the most commonly used one is a puzzle box named the Lament Configuration. Once the box has been solved or opened, the Cenobites appear with the intent of converting the user into a Cenobite by taking them back to Hell, where the engineer Cenobite can operate on them. However, a few Cenobites were converted by Pinhead on Earth, turning them into pseudo-Cenobites. In this video, we will discuss 21 of the most obnoxiously horrendous Cenobites who featured in the films. So, all you loyal priests of Leviathan, prepare yourselves to be horrified and yet intrigued, because Pinhead and his minions are on their way.
Shall we begin?
Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small clip for you, but for us, it means a lot.
Because I like their
Thank
videos.
You. Let's begin.
I am the way.
Number 1. Pinhead.
Of course.
Pinhead, you mighty Pinhead. This mighty priest of hell goes by different names. Some love him like an angel, while others loathe him like a demon. Irrespective of which view you take, one thing that's clear is that you cannot ignore him. While he's known for being one of the weirdest and cruelest of Cenobites, Barker actually conceptualized the character in not-so-strange places like fetish clubs. However, another source of inspiration was
before he says anything else, like, I could definitely see the whole, like, fetish, like, club influenced more so in his like design of his costume, whatever. Because it does look like some type of shit that the type of people will wear in those venues. No offense, but
In fetish dolls such as Nakandi, these dolls also have nails pinned throughout their bodies and faces. So, Pinhead is an amalgamation of the sadomasochistic clubs of America and Europe and African mythology and lore.
interesting.
That's one international demon. But Pinhead
Very
wasn't
international.
given his name until the third film, Hell on Earth, when the hero, Joey Summerskill, refers to him this way.
Have to come and get me, you ugly fuck.
Well,
In
damn.
fact, the first
Bold.
film credited him merely as lead Cenobite, a title that was befitting his stature, but neither his persona nor appearance. Nevertheless, as Shakespeare once said, what's in a name? Pinhead doesn't require a name to fill our hearts with fear or to
Definitely
make his
doesn't.
hooked chains do his horrific bidding.
Yeah, regardless of
Pinhead's character usually appeared in the films for just 10 to 15 minutes and wreaked his havoc or furthered his plans. However, the 10th film, Hellraiser Judgment, centered pretty much entirely on this Cenobite. Pinhead defies God's plan, causing the death of a serial killer named Sean at the hands of a seemingly innocent woman, Christine.
last one. I'm gonna have to check this one out.
This
even though I heard
defiance
a
sort
lot
of pissed God off, and he wouldn't have it anymore. God snatched away Pinhead's powers and turned him into a regular human being.
Well, damn.
What could be a better punishment to inflict on someone who is addicted to sadomasochistic pleasures and immortality? However, the 1996 film Hellraiser 4 Bloodline is set in the year 2127 and shows Pinhead in his regular Cenobite form. By the end of the film, Philip Lamarchian's heir manages to destroy the Cenobites, including Pinhead, by activating the Elysium configuration, or the anti-Lament configuration. This marked Pinhead's final demise, but it would be interesting to see how Pinhead got his powers back between the chronological events of the 10th and the 4th films. However, this fierce servant of Leviathan was not always the demon he has been depicted as. During the early 20th century and up until the First World War, he was a compassionate and empathetic man who helped whoever he could and didn't hurt a fly. The second Hellraiser film hinted for the first time about Pinhead's human past and how he came to become the gruesome pain monster he is. The horrors of war, especially the Battle of Flanders, became the reason why Captain Elliot Spencer of the British Expeditionary Force lost all faith in humanity. The violence and bloodshed he witnessed turned him...
Well, war would definitely mess with a person's mind, especially all the stuff that goes on with it. So that's definitely reasonable. Like how and why we lose his humanity in this universe. That is, it's like, especially in the first two World Wars, like World War One and such. Like there's quite a bit of violence there that would, compared to today's warfare, like night and day almost.
His own set of morals. Following this, he spent many years searching for...
I don't feel like watching these commercials. Shit. Shut up. Alright. Let's get back to
carnal and hedonistic pleasures and ultimately came across the Lament configuration somewhere in or around British India. After solving the puzzle, the chronically overwhelmed Captain Spencer became the most favorite minion of Leviathan and lived eternally as the master of pain and pleasure, as a demonic angel who didn't differentiate between the two. Now Pinhead is a Cenobite like many others, but he's also called the Hell Priest. Naturally, he is part of a group called the Order of the Gash, which is similar to a religious sect that worships Leviathan. His powers come through the pins stuck on his head, presumably put there by Leviathan himself. Pinhead's character is the only one to have appeared in all 10 films of the franchise. Doug Bradley played the iconic Pain Demon, though Stephen Smith Collins and Paul T. Taylor played Pinhead in the 9th and 10th films, respectively.
Now, Doug Bradley will always be the iconic one. Now, this is another creepy fuck right there.
Number 2, Female Cenobite, aka Deep Throat. What do you think the Cenobites do when they are not ripping people apart or skinning them? Well, to sort of answer this question, the comics introduced Markova as Pinhead's demon girlfriend, though she was never portrayed in the films. Instead of Markova, the female Cenobite was seen as Pinhead's female counterpart, but their relationship is essentially platonic. The female Cenobite was one of the more influential Cenobites in the first few films, as she regularly partnered with our favorite Pin monster himself.
Oh, yeah.
What made her
Very
appearance look
influential.
especially grotesque and dastardly were the 5 wires that cut open her neck and held her skin back. The resultant deep gash led to the character being named Deep Throat. This eternal wound also makes her voice raspy and whispery.
You can make it come back and
Perhaps we prefer you.
She is also sometimes referred to as the Fallen, the reason for which is pretty much as you would expect. Before becoming the female Cenobite, she was once a nun known as Sister Nicoletta. From a tender age, she became overtly intrigued by sin and its various forms, so much that she became obsessed with it in her later life. One day, a
makes
traveler
sense.
offered her the greatest object of sin ever constructed. Nicoletta must have choked from delight. Nevertheless, the object was none other than the Lamet configuration. As soon as she solved it, an ancient Cenobite named Grillard appeared and took her to hell with him, where she was subjected to intense levels of pain and pleasure. That's how she fell far from God's love and came to be called the Fallen.
I'm gonna have to check
Grizzard
out
is
this
another one
comic.
of the Cenobites that never made an appearance in any of the films. We've made another video on the Cenobites that appear in media beyond cinema.
I'm gonna have to check
If
out
you
that
seek to
list.
quench your thirst, you may check out the
I'm
link
gonna
in
have
the
to do so.
description. The female Cenobite made her first appearance in the 1987 Hellraiser film, but she was a minor character appearing vaguely human with dark and bluish skin. However, when Barbie Wilde played her in the next installment of the franchise, she had a relatively larger role with more lines and screen time. She even paired up with one Kirsty Cotton to fight an evil Cenobite named Channard. The character
Interesting
met with an
twist of events.
honorable final death in this film, but she makes an appearance in the Marvel comic Clive Barker's Pinhead.
Interesting.
Number 3. Butterball.
Butterball.
was one of the few Cenobites to have transformed because of a sin other than lust. Before his conversion, he was also known as Laszlo, a man who derived pleasure from eating and devouring almost any
Damn.
food that came his way. He just couldn't satiate.
That motherfucker big as shit. Damn. Remind me something off of that one TV series, My 600-Pound Life. Shit. It'd be blowing my mind how people get so big. But I guess when you just overeat and whatever else happens, and you don't do much else, I guess that's what happens. But god damn. That's a big
Hunger for more
motherfucker.
food, and ultimately came across the Lamet configuration, which promised him otherworldly pleasure. But what Laszlo didn't know was that the Lamet configuration didn't differentiate between pain and pleasure. Naturally, after he was taken to hell, he was subjected to immense levels of torture and cruelty in the name of pleasure. They sewed his eyes shut and cut a deep gash in his stomach.
Ugh.
The resultant skin remained stretched with hooks. Remember when the female Cenobite said to Kirsty in the second film, "Perhaps we prefer you"? The dialogue was actually meant for Butterball, but the huge amount of makeup needed for the role made it difficult for the actor to speak even
I
a word.
bet.
That's why we usually see him speaking only in hisses and squeaks.
Makes sense for his design. Because that, like I said, I don't think that thing speak.
Number 5. Chatterer Beast.
Chatterer
As
Beast.
fascinating as this particular Cenobite might be, there's an acute lack of information around it. But we've made sure to gather as many details as we could to give you a complete picture of this canine-looking creature. Due to its appearance, a widely accepted belief is that it is a dog that was converted into a Cenobite. But
Sounds
if you think
reasonable,
about it, why would such an animal be converted? Cenobites only convert
Yeah, that's
those who
true,
have
too.
opened the Lamet configuration or have the capability to do so. And by extension, this just means humans. Now, a dog cannot do that, can it? Furthermore, servants of Leviathan consider all animals as innocent, so harming their purity is out of the question.
Yeah,
So what's
out
the
of the
story
question.
behind the infamous Chatterer Beast? Is it just like the other Cenobites, but it is made entirely of human flesh that was molded into a hound-like creature? It was given a facial structure to match one of Leviathan's favorite Cenobites, the Chatterer. Although introduced as Pinhead's pet in Hellraiser Bloodline, the Chatterer serves a bigger purpose. Just as how Chatterer used to act as Pinhead's muscle man, the Chatterer Beast aggressively protects his master.
Easy.
I would shit
Like
myself.
all
I saw
other
a dog
members
like
of the
that.
Gash, the Beast also sports leather clothing in the form of black collars and bands around the limbs. Furthermore, what makes the creature more terrifying is the use of metal plates around its jaws. We said earlier that Cenobites don't hurt animals. Well, they don't inflict sadomasochistic pain on them. In one of the scenes, Pinhead fed the Chatterer a live pigeon. This is strange because Cenobites are not widely known to need to eat to survive.
Yeah. So, interesting set of morals these guys
Number
have.
6. Chatterer Torso. The Chatterer Beast wasn't the only Cenobite that resembled the classic Cenobite Chatterer. The other one was the Chatterer Torso. As the name suggests, the torso has no body parts below its ribcage, and in fact, one can see its spine protruding out. Interestingly, the torso was created by Chatterer himself in his own image. Unlike Chatterer, the torso doesn't seem to sport any burns, and has pale white skin, though it does showcase the same trademark mouth, stretched open with hooks and the various teeth. The torso served its creator, but once Chatterer was dead, it roamed in the nooks and corners of the labyrinth in search of a new master, only to be adopted by Pinhead and initiated into the Gash. The Chatterer made its appearance in Hellraiser Inferno, where it worked with the Wire Twins to torture a man named Joseph Thorne.
Of course, now seeing those three again gives me
Number
the
7.
creeps.
Wire
Another
Twins.
countdown.
We know that Cenobites cannot distinguish between pain and pleasure, right? But there existed a pair of twin Cenobite sisters who devoted their eternal undead lives to seeking the pleasures of the flesh by torment, and torment only. As the name suggests, the Wire Twins were once upon a time a pair of beautiful sisters who indulged in hedonistic pleasures and often used their bodies to gain power and control over their partners. However, their hunger was insatiable, and they eventually walked through the doors of the labyrinth and learned what true pleasure meant. They experienced feelings that were beyond their darkest imaginations and were converted into Cenobites who would go on ripping and torturing people. The sisters had wires in place of hair and wore scanty but revealing leather suits. Interestingly, they also had a phallus-shaped tongue, which they used to torment their victims by giving them pleasure. Can you even imagine what that must be like? Let us know in the comments what you think of these minions of sweet torture.
Would be a very strange feeling indeed, because one moment you're thinking, oh, this feels good, then it's like,
Number 8. The
they're gonna
Doctor.
kill me.
The Doctor, or Channard Cenobite, was by far one of the strongest Cenobites ever, so much so that he not only killed most members of the Gash, but no Cenobite ever managed to kill him. As a child, Channard discovered that he had an affinity for dissecting small animals. He loved their blood on his hands, and these events would shape his future mind and conscience. Channard grew up to be an acclaimed neurosurgeon and opened a mental health institution in his name called the Channard Institute. There he played with the minds and bodies of his various patients in the hope of discovering the truth behind pain and hell. His intentions are debated because some are of the opinion that though his means to solve the problem of pain were wrong, his ends were good. Anyway, we are not here to judge his moral conscience, as it is crystal clear. Channard always had some idea about the labyrinth and the lament configuration, but he couldn't get his hands on a real one. His favorite patient was a young mute girl named Tiffany because she had an acute love for solving puzzles, a gift Channard hoped to one day utilize to further his own plans. When Kirsty Cotton was admitted to the hospital after Julia's death, she informed him about the lament configuration, the real one. He was now close to getting what he always desired. He made Tiffany open the lament configuration and entered the winding paths of the labyrinth. There he was approved by Leviathan himself to be transformed into a Cenobite, and that's how the pale, blue-skinned Dr. Cenobite was created.
Yeah. Very fitting way for him to end up as well.
Interestingly, Leviathan connected itself with Channard through an extension, and this gave him immense powers, like the ability to eject tentacles from his hands. These tentacles would end in several tools meant for torture. By the end of the film, Kirsty was being saved by the other Cenobites, particularly the Female Cenobite, and they all fought the Doctor, but to no avail. His death only became possible when the lament configuration was opened again, and Leviathan retreated. This led to the decapitation of Channard, in a very bloody affair.
Yes, very bloody indeed. I wish they would have shown that, but I'm going to pause right here, but God, it would have been nice if they did show the scene of him getting decapitated, because that was very gruesome and very awesome scene nonetheless from an awesome sequel to a great horror film, which was the first Hellraiser. Of course, Hellraiser 2 was a great follow up to it. So this is gonna be part one of the 21 unthinkably malformed Cenobites that appeared in Hellraiser movies, origin stories explored, and like the countdown is looking good so far, and a lot of familiar faces because I've seen a few of them on another countdown. But seeing this one, it seems like they go into more detail and add some extras from like the comics, which I'm gonna have to get my hands on as well. Wonder where I can find them at, as far as online stores, because I'm sure it'd probably be very hard to find them in regular bookstores because I'm quite sure they're out of print and whatnot. So, but yeah, back on what they call the wire twins or whatever. Like, yeah, the tongue. If they use a tongue on the victim, it'll be. I can only imagine like the feeling would be just weird. One woman think, oh man, this feels good. And it's like, oh, these women are about to kill me with this and do some other shit. So like, yeah, it'll be a weird feeling for certain. And also, I like how they describe like each of the Cenobites, how they like came to be and everything. And now the female Cenobite that started off as a nun, whatever, and how she was curious about like sin and such. Like fitting way for her to end up, of course, due to said curiosity and seeking for like hedonistic pleasures and such, was our twins. So very good description on their part, and you can tell they did a lot of research and know what they're talking about. So I'm definitely gonna do a part two, probably sometime, maybe Wednesday. I'm definitely gonna do a part two on Wednesday. The next 15 minutes, pick off right where this left off in the 15-minute, 55-second mark. If you want me to react to more like more analysis, be sure to post them in the comment section below. Whether it's like movies, TV shows, comics, whatever case may be, video games, don't matter. Or if you want, and also if you want me to react to anything that's related to music videos, interviews, whatever case may be, countdowns, all that shit, be sure to post all of them in the comment section below. And be sure to follow me on social media accounts, which will be posted in the description box below. And hit that donation link to my PayPal so you can support your boy, you know what I mean, with living expenses as well as getting this merch together. And if it's your first time watching this reaction video, be sure to hit that like button, hit that notification button, hit that subscribe button. Shit, I gotta pick this phone call up. It's your boy Black G92 about to sign off. How's your boy?